Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the webinar on communicating with power. My name is Tanya. I'm from Top Tier Consulting, and it's my pleasure to present you this content today. So why are we here? What's the purpose? Well, it's to explore the differences between the motives of communication. So you'll have powerful communication or power-filled communication. And we'll discover the minor communication changes that yield major impacts on your business. And so you'll see how you can leverage communication in order to improve your organization. Now, whoops, sorry about that. Okay, here's the agenda. So we'll go into some communication definitions. We will dive into powerful communication, explore power-filled communication, discuss the business impacts all this has on your organization. And then, given that it's mealtime for a lot of you, I have some food for thought for you. And we'll also proceed with our Q&A session. As a result, if you have questions throughout the presentation, please put them in the chat. It will be my pleasure to address them after, because I want to see your beautiful faces as I answer your questions. So, communication, what is it? Well, according to Merriam-Webster, it is information that is transmitted or conveyed. It is a verbal or written message. It is a process by which information is exchanged between individuals through a common system of symbols, signs, or behavior. So what does that mean? Well, as much as we communicate by voice, as I'm doing with you right now, we also can write out our message and have that written word do the communication for us. And then the other element I just want to point out is the exchange between individuals. So even though you may communicate on behalf of your company, you are still speaking to human beings, and that's the key here. So believe it or not, there are more than 15 motives to communicate. So every day, there are more than 15 reasons why I would open my mouth or put pen to paper. Ultimately, these motives can be separated into two categories. And so these categories, as you probably guessed it, are powerful and power-filled. Now, if we examine powerful communication, what is that exactly? Well, it is expansive. It is even limitless. Powerful communication is based on the desire to thrive. And so it is full of possibility. Now, there are several forms of powerful communication, and the two that I want to point out to you today are acknowledging and playing. So when we say acknowledging, what do we mean? Well, it's recognizing a situation, an action, or a feeling. So that might show up as, I hear what you're saying. I see your point. I understand where you're coming from. And so ultimately, we are taking a step back and thinking about the situation or the topic at hand. So there's reflecting going on, and there's realizing certain things. As a result, we are acquiring a different point of view. We're gaining a new outlook on something, kind of a new perspective. And so in terms of acknowledging for your business, the impact can be increased comprehension or understanding, because again, if I hear what the person's telling me, I see them and I understand what they're telling me, I can kind of create that partnership with them, because the person will feel seen and heard and understood. And so there you're also building trust, and you will earn the other individual's respect, because again, they feel like you've comprehended them. And so that leads to great growth, as much for you as an individual as your business. Because if you're respected, you're trusted, people want to do business with you and they will refer you. So it's going to grow even more. Now, if we move on to playing, our second powerful example, that is ultimately riding the conversation wave. We are exploring the topic without a defined outcome. So there's no hidden agenda. We are not guiding the conversation to a certain conclusion. We are truly uncovering ideas, thoughts, etc., around a given topic or situation. Now, with regards to your business, the impact that playing can have on it is that you'll be present in the moment. So you'll be able to form a connection with your clients, with your vendors, your suppliers, or the team as a whole. And so the conversation is uncapped. There's a lot of freedom here. And so it will lead to novelty because, again, we are exploring, we are uncovering these ideas and thoughts. And that is a beautiful starting point for innovation. And so that fosters tremendous creativity as well. If we flip now to power-filled communication, this is more constraining. There's constriction here. And so it's more limiting in nature. And that's the reason that it's filled with the desire to survive. Now, you might be wondering, survive what? Well, you might be wanting to get out of a situation or get through an event or simply end a conversation. So that's where we're kind of alluding to with survival. Now, believe it or not, in power-filled communication, there are 10 forms. So again, given the time, we will explore 2 of them, and that is controlling and withholding. Now, with controlling, that is when we are steering the narrative. We are holding the reins and possibly micromanaging that conversation. We are not letting go, and so it's a very restrictive interaction. It's not very organic, and so it's quite limited and a lot of parameters on it. If we look at withholding now, that's when we are not saying everything. There's a partial disclosure, not full disclosure. And so no information is definitely being volunteered at this point, and the individual is not very forthcoming. And so if we take all of that together, controlling and withholding, the effect that can have on your business is that there'll be lack of or hindered trust. That will create poor credibility and it will lead to low integrity. And so unfortunately, that makes interactions a little unpleasant. And so relationships amongst team members or partnerships can tend to be rather uneasy. And as a result, it's difficult to collaborate given that there's that absence of exchange. So now the food for thought that I leave you with is, let's assess how powerful you are. Are you acknowledging your client's feedback? What about your employees' comments? How are they being taken into consideration? Then if we kind of play around, are you playing sufficiently? Are you going with the conversation? And how's the brainstorming taking place? So if you want to think about that, take a few moments. If you want to drop your thoughts in the chat, feel free to do so. And then we will wrap up with the power fill. So let's assess how the business's power fill. And so can control be reduced, transferred, or eliminated? And what about the withhold of information? Is there any that is going on within the team? with clients? Or what about partners and vendors? And if there is, no worries, because perhaps it is involuntary. And that may be because we never thought to share these details with the individuals, the team, the clients, or the partners. And if it is voluntary, again, no harm there. It's simply to uncover, well, why would that be? Is it because it's never done before, so we by default did it the same?